Welcome to the Fort Collins Fellows podcast. From Colorado State University to New Belgium Brewery and the hundreds of miles of hiking and biking trails, Fort Collins has earned its well-deserved reputation as one of the top places to live in the United States. Your hosts, Patrick and Chris, were born and raised in Fort Collins. Patrick owns and runs Soukup Real Estate Services, a top-rated real estate brokerage company here in Fort Collins. Chris is the co-owner of the Murphy Whitlock Group, a top-rated residential mortgage broker based out of Fort Collins. Now join the fellas as they uncover the stories, places, and people that make Fort Collins so exceptional.
Well, I would like to say I thought I was a good athlete until I met my wife, but I also thought I was a good athlete until this young kid coming up behind me just, was dunking in games, hitting home runs, just an absolute stud in any athletic endeavor he went to. And you can have no doubt that that transpired into a successful business career. We are very fortunate to have Jake Stewart on with us today, who he, along with the Move Caddies, are moving people all over the country, Fort Collins, Northern Colorado. So thanks for coming on with us, Mr. Jake Stewart.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. Excited to be here and spend some time with you.
Absolutely. I like to see when somebody's more athletic than Patrick, because, he's at the gym every day. So it's good to see, somebody can compete with him. That's nice.
Not even compete. There's no competition.
There's no competition.
I'd like to say there is a
domination,
but yeah, I don't like subscribe to that. I don't sign up for that event. I'm like, no, I'm good. But Jake, talk to us a little bit about, I know, Fort Collins is home to you. You came back to it from obviously a phenomenal college, Stanford, and after a professional baseball career. But talk to us a little bit about who you are and what you're doing and got going on today.
Yeah. So like you said, I'm Jake Stewart. I'm born and raised here in Fort Collins. And my family's been in the area for a long time. We love it here. Huge passion for this community. It's one of those places that it's very nice. It's people come and it sticks just because of how amazing it is here and the access to the amenities and just the people and the community that we have around, and so it was something that was an easy decision for me. My whole life was, I knew I wanted to go off and explore the world and kind of get out and chase baseball. And, I think I ended up playing baseball in 46 or 47 states. Spent a summer in Alaska and summer in the Cape Cod and, got to see it all and have a lot of fun along the way. But I always knew that I wanted to move back here. And, it was funny. Everywhere that I went and all the places that I got to see, I always told everybody how awesome Colorado was and how amazing it is here. And, we get 300 days of sunshine. The weather's beautiful. It's, fun place. There's mountains that are right there. Everything is so close. And, now everybody's starting moving here and it seems the secret got out, it's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah, the old locals, they hate that.
I know.
I remember going to school when we were young, and it was rare to see a license plate with a different state on it. And it was like, we went to St. Joe's growing up, and we lived on the southeast side, so we would have to go all the way to north side of Fort Collins, and so it was about a 15-minute drive, and we'd see one or two out of state license plates. So just in our lifetimes, it's been a big change, and I'm sure you're seeing that in the industry that you're in.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's, now it's getting more and more rare to find the natives. It's, I think with it being such a small town, we like to associate ourselves with other natives. Right. But yeah, again, it was such an easy decision to move back home. And, part of that was my last year. Stanford's a little bit different. It's a little bit of a different school in a sense that 6,000 students that go to Stanford. So it's a much smaller school. And you basically have to live on campus all 4 years. And they set it up so everybody does have housing on campus. It's just being a smaller school, and it is next to the wealthiest city in America, Riverton, California.
We're losing you a little bit,
Jake. You're breaking up a little bit.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you back. So
that's good.
So Stanford is right next door to and then you kind of started getting cut out.
Atherton, right?
Atherton.
Nice. I know the area. My mom went to Stanford for grad school, so.
Oh, right on. Okay.
Go Cardinals. Go Cardinals.
Hey, Go Cardinal. It's a great place to be.
Yeah,
you know,
Cardinal.
Cardinal. Sorry, did I say
there's
Cardinals?
no
it's just the
S.
color. It's just
By
the
the way,
color.
I did
right?
not go to Stanford, as you can tell.
But yeah, it's just the color. We got the tree and the logo, but yeah, that's our mascot. It's the tree is actually, it got adopted by the university, the band, the marching band, and then kind of got adopted by the school. We needed a mascot because you can't really make a mascot out of a color. Like a lot of those Ivy League schools are similar in structure, but Stanford is the farm. It was on Leland Stanford Jr. His farm is where the campus got created. So they wanted to keep that farm feel with the tree in it. But yeah, like I was saying, the campus it's unique because it's right next to the wealthiest city in America, that Atherton, California out there. So you do live on campus all 4 years, but I was fortunate enough that when you get drafted in baseball, I got drafted by the Detroit Tigers 2012. And when you get drafted into professional baseball, you can't get drafted after your junior year of college, right? And so after my junior year, I left to go play professional baseball. But Major League Baseball has done an amazing thing that they do, and they actually will pay for you to go back to school and finish out your degree. If you can negotiate it into your contract as well. If you sign out of high school, you can get drafted out of high school in baseball. And you can negotiate that into your contract as well, which is an awesome thing that Major League Baseball has done. But so then I took a year off, and then when I went back to finish my degree after taking a break, I took 2013 off just to focus on, 2013 off just to focus on baseball. And then when I went back, we got the opportunity to live off campus. And it was me and a couple other buddies who were all in similar situations. And we right on the border between Atherton and Redwood City out there. And we lived it was a 980 square foot house.
We lived in a 980 square feet.
Yes. So there was 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 4 of us lived in there. We had somebody that lived in the dining room. We just hung up a shower curtain. But that house back in 2014, when we lived in it, sold for $1 million. And it was a 980 square foot house. It was a great place to spend a few years, but yeah, it's expensive out there.
But then you find yourself coming back, kind of drawn back to Colorado by way of, because you were in lending for a good long time.
Oh, now Patrick froze. I know. But yeah, we'll see if we get Patrick back. But Jake, tell us, so you made the move back to Colorado and everything like that. Like, what brought that about and how'd that come? We got you back, Patrick. We lost you there for a second, but we're good.
We got a lot of internet issues going on today.
I know. We've never had this much.
I know.
Yeah, seriously. But I was saying, so what did bring you back from California to Fort Collins?
I mean, for me, the biggest thing was I wanted to be around my family, right? I wanted to come back and give back to the community that I grew up in, right? I mean, I think that if it's seems to be a common objective within, my friends, all that played, sports at a higher level, whether that is collegiately or professionally, is, giving back to the next generation and bettering the community that you came from, right? And it was such a huge passion of mine to come back home, be around my family, and dive headfirst into the baseball world and the business world, right? So I came back home. I coached baseball at Rocky Mountain High School for 8 years. That's where I went. I was on the board of directors for Fort Collins Baseball Club for 8 years. But we had such a unique group of individuals. Patrick, when we were growing up with guys like Andy Burns and Marco Gonzalez, and in this baseball world, Jess Amade, and Tyler Stevens, JD Hammer. We can kind of keep going through these names, but it was this really cool, unique thing that we saw growing up, that we kind of were in this position that we put Northern Colorado on the map nationwide for baseball, right? And I wanted to come back along with those guys and give back and help show the next generation that, hey, you guys can do this. This is not a we're not playing in the snow all the time. We can really produce some good talent. We can really produce some athletes. Look at Eaton. I don't know what they put in the water in Eaton, but Eaton consistently pumps out amazing athletes, from baseball guys to Austin Eckler and football and,
Mhm.
just about every sport. So again, it was a huge passion for me to want to come home and, continue to develop what Fort Collins and Northern Colorado can do athletically on a national scale. Right. And so, within that was kind of where that athletic journey took me, and then wanted to figure out on the professional side for myself of how I can help better, serve and give back to the community. And that was one of the reasons, Patrick, I know that you started to mention that I got into lending for a few years, wanted to get into that world, has always been passionate about real estate and what real estate can provide to people. And, I saw this as well. I bought my first house here in 2015. We did a huge remodel on it. We did it ourselves. I wouldn't recommend that. But we sold it we bought for, I think it was 324,000 in 2015 and sold it in 2020 for 465,000. So saw the great opportunity for the return on your investment, the power of real estate from a wealth building, side of things. And, so was passionate about real estate and getting into that side of things. And that was kind of my big reason for getting into lending. Chris, I know you can speak to this too, but with the lending side, and buying, selling real estate, I grew up in the household that my dad was 20% down conventional loan. If you're not doing that, you're not buying a house. So my whole life, I thought there was one mortgage product. I thought it was 20% down conventional loan. And that was the only way to go, and so wanted to explore all the different possibilities, help my friends and family and, people that I grew up with just learn more about real estate and learn more about their financial picture, right? And learn more about just the plethora of options that there are to purchase a home. And there's not one product, there's hundreds of different products out there. And, you don't have to have perfect credit. You don't have to have, a $100,000 down payment or whatever it is, right? There's so many different ways that you can learn and leverage, really any different financial position to get yourself into home ownership. And it was, such an awesome journey for me, that lending side and learning about, the finances and learning about the business side of things. And, then it really just became time for me that I wanted to get more into like entrepreneurial endeavors, right? I mean, it was, you look at all my Stanford friends seem to have their hands in 5 or 6 different businesses and, really in that kind of consulting world and building businesses and diving into all aspects of the business. And, so that's what led me to the Move Caddies. It's a couple of individuals, Matt, Dean, and Corey are 3 owners, and Dean and Corey, Dean Lawson and Corey Ricker, they're both born and raised in Fort Collins. They went to Rocky Mountain High School. They both went and played college baseball. It's similar. You can see there's a trend to what I'm going to say. There's always surrounding myself with similar minded people. Right. And listen to their story. And so we've been in business for a little over 2 years now, coming up on 2.5 years, and it was getting to the position where, they were running such an operation. They're bringing on the right people. They're not just bringing in everybody, not just hiring for the sake of getting bodies in the door, really trying to bring in quality individuals, really put that customer service and customer relations above all else. Right. And make sure they're paying their guys and doing the right things to ensure that, when they're going into somebody's house, it's, the guys, the faces, they're going to treat your stuff like it's their own. Take a lot of great pride in their work, right? And position of, moving past the startup and kind of getting into a more established business, it was a great opportunity for me to partner with them and come on board. So I'm their chief growth officer. I'm with the Move Caddies now. And it was an awesome opportunity to come on board. And, I think we're learning as much from each other, and I really come from that understanding of that growth perspective of looking at the financial models of how can we, grow, how can we expand. We're always kind of coming up, Patrick, I know you said this earlier, with those crazy ways to continue to grow and evolve with the business. And, it's a service that will always be needed. It's a service. I moved my house when I moved a couple of years ago. I will never do that again, just like I'll never be my own contractor again.
These things we learn as we grow older.
A service. Yes, that's right. Right. And it's a service that, it's not the what I feel like it used to be when we were a little bit younger too. It was like, hey, just call a bunch of buddies, call a buddy with a truck and offer that pizza and beer. And now it's not the same anymore. And, I'm getting a little more sore, and, I got 2 kids now, and my legs starting to pop more, and I'm getting achy, and it's just not the same. Right. But, it's a great service. And two, it's such a changing landscape just in the real estate market that you guys are well aware of, right? With, that kind of big societal change and shift with COVID and remote work. And, now you can basically work from where, and so this change in dynamic of, I think what the average move distance that individuals and families used to move was like 10 or 15 miles or something. And then through the COVID, that up to about 50 miles, now it's coming back down, but it's still above that historical average of move distance, right? So just these different ways that the real estate market has changed, from, going from metropolitan areas to kind of small towns to kind of coming back into it, right? And the way that these employers are handling employees and their work location and these hybrid roles. And, so it's been a really fun opportunity to kind of dive into that moving business, and help, a couple of great human beings that are really trying to do the right things and grow in the right way.
That's awesome. Where are you seeing a lot of people? So you're saying it's less than 50, but more than 15 miles as far as the average move distance. If you're doing an out of state move, if you have this information, where are you seeing the majority of people from Fort Collins move out to?
And so, I think that there's kind of a number of different areas that we're seeing a lot of individuals move from Northern Colorado. I think that, really the biggest factors that we see in those moves, are the younger generation that we work with are, again, kind of exploring the world, getting out of, Fort Collins for the first time. We're seeing a lot of, in the kind of the older generations, move to warmer weather, warmer climates, looking at that. But, the inflation, the cost of living, the desire to be closer to family, change in job structures, all those things are still always going to be the biggest reason distance moves, right? But a lot of what we're seeing is on the younger side is typically from Fort Collins to really life places, cheaper cost of living places. And what I mean by, quality of life is, access to amenities. Nashville is a super popular destination. Arizona, Texas, North Carolina is a really good one. Some of these states that offer a little bit warmer climate. I wanted to do that too, right? I wanted to go play baseball, not in the snow, but warmer climates that have.
Jake, we're losing you 1 second. Hang on. You're back. I think you just came back.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but like Charlotte, North Carolina is a good one. Awesome. A lot of the younger generation, like our generation, millennials, and some of those generations are going to those areas. St. Louis, Missouri is a really popular one. Again, these markets that there's a lot of opportunity. I wouldn't say a better climate. People have this perception that they're better climates, right? I like our climate here. It's nice here. But
that's the biggest secret that nobody knows about is our climate here. It's amazing.
Oh, that's what
they're like. I can't deal with the snow. I got a buddy of mine who's lived in Florida and California. He just moved here a month ago, and he's like, I'm so worried about the winters. I go, dude, you don't need to be worried about that.
Yeah, you're going to say that though, and then this next winter is just going to be freaking horrendous.
It's going to be absolutely.
I know.
Yeah, and he's going to hate me for it. Jake, I'm curious, where are you seeing? So those are the young people leaving Northern Colorado, which makes total sense. What are you seeing in terms of the demographics of the people that are moving here? Because Patrick, his amazing YouTube channel, and people are just they go to that when they want to learn about Fort Collins. And boy, I see a lot of like mom and dads, their kids are going to CSU. They're like, you know what? Now we can work remote. And we're going to move to Fort Collins now. What are you seeing, when you're talking to your clients and they're getting ready to move? What does that demographic look like for the new people coming to Fort Collins? So if we're losing the young, what are we getting in return?
And so we're getting, kind of this, it seems to really be across the spectrum, right, of the demographics that we're seeing. It's been unique, I guess, more and more recently. I feel like I've run into a lot more individuals that are retiring here. And that's something I never thought of growing up. That could be very naive of me. And I understand that, but it's I've seen an uptick in a lot of individuals retiring to this community. But like you're saying, there's such a huge that like CSU brings a lot of people in, it brings a lot of families in, but that just desirability of, Fort Collins, again, this secret that continues to get out, continues to be ranked as one of the best places to live in the nation, right? It continues to be at the top of a lot of those different lists, whether it is, just safety, schools, best places to raise a family. Again, the access to the amenities, the mountains, all of those things. So we're seeing a lot of kind of, I would say, like millennials, people that are coming into having a family, right, and growing their family. We see that a lot of individuals that have lived in, these metropolitan areas, have lived in different states, in Texas, California, Chicago is a big one. The upper Midwest we see a lot from. Florida, a lot from Florida as well. But individuals that have, built their career, started to find their career, and now have come into that position where they're having kids. I have a 4.5-year-old and a 2-year-old. It's crazy. But these individuals that are looking for great places to raise a family. I mean, a lot of that, we're seeing that is getting away from, I like to say, the concrete jungles, right? The big cities, and getting to, yes, exactly, right? But getting to an area like Northern Colorado and what we have to offer, and the way that the school districts are, their ratings are, Poudre School District is always absolutely fantastic, so these opportunities to raise their family and getting into that next chapter of their life is kind of the biggest thing that I think that we're still seeing. But again, there has been that kind of unique outlier of more and more. And again, this, maybe I just never heard this before. I always, heard people went to Phoenix or Florida or somewhere warm to retire. And, we've definitely run into a lot more individuals that are retired, or their grandparents, that their kids that, are in our generation and having children. The parents are coming along with them, with the kids, and help with the, that new chapter, and be closer to their grandkids and spend more time in. And I don't know, you guys see this too, but I feel like even,
1 second, Jake, we got Magneto in our internet right now.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah. We got you.
No, I mean, we actually, we agree. We think as far as like the retirement community that's, moving here, we're seeing a lot of it too. Even we've got clients coming in from Santa Fe, that Santa Fe is like a retirement destination. Like the median age there is like in the 60s. And they're just like, we want a younger demographic. And I was just talking to the CFO of the city of Fort Collins, and I said, one of the most shocking stats that I've seen in Fort Collins in the last 3 to 5 years following the city of Fort Collins is our median age has jumped from 29 years to 39 years old in Fort Collins. So it talks to you about people who are aging in place and those people who are moving here as well. Of course, we're still going to have a younger median age just because we have 35,000 students that, contribute to a little bit younger age. But, definitely people are finding their way here to Fort Collins. And to your point, it's like when I worked with my uncle and we had a lot of investment properties, we did a calculation over a 5-year average of how many snowstorms there were, which for us, a snowstorm was more than 2 inches. And it was anywhere from 7 to 10 snowstorms that equated to about 2 shovels per storm. So anywhere between 14 to 20 snow shovels a year, which when I tell like my in-laws that are living in California and we're trying to recruit them here, they're like, that's not terrible. And I'm like, no, it's really not too bad. It's like because they lived in Alaska for 4 years. I'm like, we are not Alaska. Like we see our roads the day after it snows.
Yes. Oh yeah. And it's such a unique thing too, right? That like you said, a lot of times that you don't even have to shovel. You just wait a couple hours and it's all gone anyways. That was one thing that I had in college was, it was surprising how many people asked me if I had to take a snowmobile to get to school. I was like, what? Like, no, it's actually really nice here. It's, it can be 30 degrees in January and people are out in shorts and a t-shirt. The golf course is full. I've played golf 12 months a year for probably the last 8 or 9 years now.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not bad.
There is this misconception too of people who have never been here. Like you're in the mountains. Are you guys okay? It's Well,
Yeah, that's what.
yeah.
Yeah, it's 100 degrees. I remember what end of last summer was 100 for 6 or 8 days straight or something. It was, we had a nice little heat wave, but it is one of those things. It's those misconceptions. But that's an interesting stat to know how many snow shovels you get each year.
Yeah. Now talk to us. Okay, so talk to us a little bit about the move Caddies, where you guys are at now. I know I talked with Matt not too long ago, but you guys were looking at growing and expanding, maybe different locations. I mean, obviously, I think any entrepreneur moving to Northern Colorado with any sort of work ethic and desire to be successful with the growth and desirability of the area can absolutely do that. And like you're a testament of that with like the move Caddies. So talk to us a little about your goals, what you guys are expecting, and your growth kind of projections.
Yes, and so we're extremely excited. We did, as of April 1st, we opened up our second location, so it's in Boulder. So we did get a Boulder location. So yeah, now we have two, the Fort Collins one and down into Boulder. That location is going to allow us to service, Denver and the Front Range a little bit better, which is something that we've seen such a big uptick in a lot of our past clients and a lot of individuals that we're talking to that have gone now to Denver are calling back, and so we've had such a drive down to that Denver market and getting a little more southern. And Boulder was just such a great location for us. Again, it's a college town, an awesome place, a lot of movement, a lot of activity within that area, and such easy access to Denver and in Broomfield and Louisville, and a lot of those places for us. So that was an awesome opportunity for us, and still close enough to get there fairly quickly, right? But yeah, we're continuing to grow, continuing to expand, looking at a few different locations here coming up in the next year or two is probably going to be our realistic expectations. But our big thing is, we want to continue to grow and we want to continue to scale the operation, but we want to do it the right way, right? And that's one of my favorite things about our growth model is, we are making sure and ensuring that with as much as we grow, we're still trying to keep the best people on board. We're not trying to lose the quality of our service. We're not trying to see, anything go down in terms of customer service or the quality of individuals that we're bringing on to help us in these different markets, right? And so, yeah, we still have not brought anybody new on in that Boulder office. We're just kind of facilitating with the individuals that we have up here and running down there and kind of running back and forth. And so, we're really excited to grow. We're just trying to grow slowly and grow the right way. And again, the last thing that we ever want is to not trust the individual that we're sending out into somebody's home and taking care of their stuff, their belongings. It's very sentimental. Everything that you have in your house, it means a lot to you. And so, our growth is really based on kind of the slow and steady wins the race, right? It's not just running out there and putting the cart before the horse. We want to ensure that we're taking the right guys, training them in the right way, bringing on quality individuals and growing it that way. So we're excited to continue to see where the growth takes us. But that first step in the right direction for us was that Boulder office.
Jake, what are your stats? Like how many employees do you guys have in trucks and everything like that currently?
So right now we are at, we have 10 employees. And so, yeah, a crews to service, a number of different trucks. We did just get a fourth truck, which was super exciting. We got that last week. And so, yeah, now we're up to 4 trucks and 10 individuals, a couple part-time guys. And then we do have 2 individuals who are seasonal with us who just came back, who will go down to some warmer climates throughout the winter months, then come back here in the summer. So we're excited to get those guys back up and running as well.
That's very cool. Very cool. Yeah, because I guess I would imagine it's like a seasonal job or a seasonal business, right? Because do you not see that? Is it more like summertime, spring and fall are your busiest, or it doesn't matter? You guys see all seasons.
We do. We see it's definitely cyclical. It's consistently busy, which is a good thing, but the job types are very cyclical with the seasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's something that we see, because in the moving business, we do a lot of rentals, a lot of, we work with some furniture stores, property managers, and a lot of those rentals we see turnover at the first of the year, so we do see a little bit more smaller moves, inner house moves, those kind of things throughout the winter months. And then through kind of the spring and the summer is our busiest time for the long distance moves. We see a big uptick in just that travel. I think it
Yeah.
makes sense. I want to drive across the country in the snow. We still do this, a decent amount of those through the winter months, but it's definitely a lot more long distance moves, from probably end of March, definitely April through August. August, September is kind of our busiest time for those long distance moves. But yeah, it's more cyclical type of job.
Yeah, I feel like the moving companies, it's a good gauge of almost the economy. Like when people don't move if they don't feel like they're in a good position financially, or they're just scared or something like that. So I feel like that I'd be curious to see how the business kind of, mirrors what's going on in those local economies. But
question for you. And I don't know if this is going to be your ballpark, so I don't want to get you in trouble if it's something that you can't talk about, but help an individual who is listening to this show, because a lot of people are listening to this, getting as much information about Fort Collins, either that's moving out of, within, or to Fort Collins. And maybe they're afraid of hiring a mover because I don't know how much that costs. I don't know, but help maybe somebody understand what the process for the move caddies would be to, from getting their first phone call to unloading the last box in their new location.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And it's definitely something that, again, it's one of those things that it's scary because you don't know anything about it. Right. And it just seems like hiring a moving company is, you're going to get ripped off, and why can't I do this myself? And I'll just get a U-Haul or whatever the case is. Right. But it's something that we like to structure our process around the customer, around the client. Right. And so from that first call in, walk us through the items that you're looking to get moved. Let us know what the inventory is going to look like. And from that point, we can start to paint the picture of how many movers and how many trucks and how long the time frame is going to take. But we really like to pride ourselves. So anybody that we talk to, we offer free in-home estimates. Again, one thing that we really take a lot of pride in is no surprises. We don't want any surprises. We don't want to quote you for 2 guys in a truck and it's going to be 5 hours. And then all of a sudden it's, we need 4 guys and 2 trucks and 10 hours an hour, whatever the case is. Right. And so that kind of no surprise structure to it is built around those free in-home estimates. We'll come out to the house. If you're in a different state, we'll do a FaceTime walkthrough, a video walkthrough, just to ensure that we're giving the most accurate quote as possible. We include the pads and the tape and mattress pads and wardrobe boxes and all of those things. Right. But, it's one of those things that we are the experts. We do this every day. Our guys take really good care of the stuff. They know how to stack a box truck. They know how to efficiently stack the truck to ensure that, we're going to get to the location on time and accurately. Right. Because again, when I rented myself a U-Haul a few years ago, I think I had to make 5 or 6 trips because I had no idea how to stack the truck. I had no idea what I was doing. I think me and my dad put a couple of dents in our door and a couple of dents in some walls.
Well, did your dad just carry the truck and just walk the truck to the house?
Oh, he was the best helper. Yeah, there was the couch upstairs. He just carried it himself.
Dude, Jake's dad is a monster.
Well, I had a funny story. When we moved back from California, the movers came and my now wife and I were sitting there. The first box that they started moving slipped out of the guy's hand and just tumbled down this 20 staircase. And we all looked at each other. We're like, we're just going to leave and let you guys do your thing.
I can't watch this.
I can't watch this. I think we lost a microwave in the drop and they reimbursed us. But the first box out of the gate was just down the stairs.
So you get the FaceTime walkthrough, you go through, you give a relatively close estimate. I'm sure there's probably some wiggle room, some flex, but no surprises. And then from there, to Chris's point, is there different levels of service? Is it, just one track for the move caddies? What does it look like there for optionality for clients?
So our structure and our process is very consistent, right? That's what we want to offer, is we want to make sure that, what we put into place is what you're going to get what you expect. Right. And so we're going to show up, we're going to send a great crew out there, and they're going to show up on time. We over communicate prior leading up to the move. You guys know this better than anybody in the real estate world. There's always changes. It might not, there's always little bit of flexibility with the closing date. If the closing date has to move or something falls through, or, you schedule closing for 4 p.m. or something on a Friday. Well, then, hey, we might, it's going to be tough to get the keys on that day and get out of the old house. So, hey, let's go Saturday, So again, just a lot of that constant communication, following up prior to the date of the move, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. But then, when the crew shows up from that point, that's where we get very consistent in the structure of it. And they're going to show up. We're going to wrap everything. We can do the packing for you if you want. We can take care of all of the disassembly. If you have anything that needs to be a desk or a bed frame or anything that needs to be disassembled and reassembled, we can take care of all of that. Again, we're going to wrap everything. We're going to keep everything extremely protected, just to ensure that we're taking the best quality care of your personal items that we possibly can. If we also typically we won't reassemble something that we did not disassemble. Again, if we didn't see how to take it apart or how it's structured, we want to make sure that we're doing that in the right way. But really kind of the biggest optionality for us is it's time, right? We base everything off of time. And we prorate down to every 15 minutes. We're very transparent about that up front. So we're going to give you a quote. Again, if we go over by 2 or 3 minutes, we're not going to bill you for an extra hour. We will prorate down to every 15 minutes just to make everything fair. And so again, it's those no surprises, clear expectations up front. And then really anything that you need done, whether it is that packing, disassembly, we'll bring some pads out, we'll bring the mattress bags, the wardrobe boxes, kind of whatever you need from us is what we can do, and we can do a great job of it. But if you want to take care of everything yourself and just leave boxes in the garage, we can do that. If you want to have we've gone to some houses that are not look like they got surprised that they were moving on that day, so we can we'll bring a bunch of boxes and pack everything up for you and get the truck loaded. And, when we get to the new house, tell us where everything goes. We'll reassemble everything in the room that it's supposed to be in, and go from there.
Sounds like my kind of move, honestly. After our second move and the 45th argument between me and my wife, we were like, all right, we are no longer doing this move by ourselves. We will pay movers to do this.
It's funny.
Well, let's see here. I know you guys have got a lot of stuff going on this summer, and I appreciate you guys, willing to jump on to us. Real quick, I would say one of my last two questions, and then we'll finish up with our last one. Okay, pricing wise, what could somebody expect within a local move, full service? Let's call it a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, and move into a similar size house. Give us a local move and then maybe a move to Denver. Just kind of a rough range that somebody could expect a full service move, 3-bed, 2-bath house.
Yeah. So typically in that, if you're looking at a local move, I think the national average for a move job like that is like $1,200 to $1,500. And it can be a little cheaper depending on, again, how close the move is, how clean you and organized you are. So it could probably range anywhere from, $500 to $2,000 is probably a pretty good range of where you're going to be looking at. Again, our standard rate for 2 guys in a truck is $159 an hour. And so, you just kind of think about the hours that takes to, typically the unload is a lot quicker than the loading of the truck, right? Just pack it. It's like playing the greatest game of Tetris, right? Packing the truck, right? Doing all those things, and so typically, on a local move, probably going to be looking at, $1,000 to $1,500 is a good estimate, with some wiggle room on each side of that, to get it based on how much stuff you have and how close the house is and how many guys in trucks that we need, right? And just the weight of the overall job. And then, typically on a long distance move, those are going to be a little bit more expensive just with the time on the highway and the travel time, and so typically on long distance moves, if it's down to Denver, it's not going to be too much additional, again, just on the time. We don't do it we bind those long distance moves and price those out a little bit different. Again, just with when we agree upon a price, that's the price. There's no surprises. We're not doing anything there. But with like moves to Denver and some of those areas, again, we don't bill you by miles. It's all in the timing that comes into it. And so, with those travel times comes in, moving down to Denver's, going to get into the $2,000, $3,000 range, depending on where in Denver. And then, I think the national average for a state to state move is probably in the 4,000 to 6,000 range. So about 5,000 is probably about a good rough average for a state to state move.
Worth it to save your marriage. Worth it to save your marriage.
And you're back.
Yeah. That should be on the side of the truck. We'll save your marriage.
And all right, Jake. Well, we finished. This is, Fort Collins. We just did an interview with Horse and Dragon. You guys' episode, you're going to come out right after that, which we are excited for that one. But on a Friday afternoon, a long day of getting things packed up, Tetris done. You're done with the move, sweating your ass off. Which patio in Fort Collins are you going to go enjoy a cold beverage?
I think that the classic one for me has always been Odell's. That patio is something that, it's just amazing. It's funny because my wife's born and raised here too. We didn't really know each other growing up. She was 2 years younger. We kind of knew each other growing up, but we reconnected. And now we've been together for 10 years. But the first time that I asked her on a date 10 years ago, I asked her to go sit on the Odell's patio and have a beer with me. So it's a great patio. It holds a special little place in our heart. So we like that one. They got some good beers. It's a good place.
Fair enough. I think that's a fan favorite.
I love it.
Favorite.
I love it.
Jake, I appreciate you jumping on. And if you guys are considering a move to, from, within, without, whatever, in Fort Collins, make sure to check out the Move Caddies.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Thanks, Jake. Appreciate it. Friends of the podcast, thank you so much as always for tuning in. We thank you so much for your support. And just so you know, my amazing co-host Patrick Soukup over there, he is the founder, started Soukup Real Estate. If you ever need any questions about buying or selling or just want a market report on your existing home, reach out to Patrick. His team is absolutely fantastic. Born and raised in Fort Collins. His information is right there on the page. Strongly recommend reaching out.
And same for you, Chris. As if you guys are looking at buying or refinancing a home here in Northern Colorado, there's nobody better to reach out to than the Murphy Whitlock Group. And Chris Murphy is going to take incredible care of you. So do not hesitate to reach out, ask questions. He is in no rush, no hurry. So give him a chance. And I think he's going to do a great job for you. Thank you for watching.